impact blockbuster trades the Rams could make heading into the 2025 season. They could put them over the top. And where do Puka Nacua and Davante Adams rank among the best wide receiver duos in the NFL? And the most iconic Rams ending on the most random teams? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleach Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. And as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre, half, and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's entering his 10th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, some impact trades the Rams could still make heading into the 2025 season. Also, some of the most random, iconic Rams team changes towards the end of their career, kind of with Cup going to the Seahawks. And we're also talking about Davante Adams and kind of where him and Puka rank as far as the top receiver tandems in the National Football League. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. All right, Travis. So first thing we're getting into today, we haven't talked about him in a couple of weeks here, but Davante Adams is a Ram. It still doesn't kind of feel like we haven't seen him in the helmets, playing in mini camps and things like that. So it doesn't feel kind of real, but it's starting to feel more real seeing him on Rams social, just sitting in team meetings with the Rams gear on. And yesterday the Rams posted a video of Sean McVay talking about how he likes to show the team clips and tape of guys when they've been great. And he's gushing over Davante Adams. And they're showing this great play of Davante Adams, identifying man coverage, nice catch down the sideline. The takeaway for me, though, was the shot of Matthew Stafford and the grin on his face, looking like a kid on Christmas morning, like he just got like a Nintendo 64 or something like that, how excited he was. But it's really cool to see.
For me, it was the plastic Millennium Falcon back in 1982 that was under the Christmas tree. That was a big deal. But yes, same idea, different generations. Couple of things. Number one, definitely the Matthew Stafford thing was what jumped out at me, and I will circle back to that in 10 seconds. But I feel it's necessary to bring this up. The intensity that Sean McVay brings to everything that he does is unbelievable. This was a short little highlight rip of Davante Adams doing Davante Adams things, and he is in three-point position like he's getting ready to cover Davante Adams in the secondary. He is the most intense individual that I've ever seen in my entire life, and he just radiates football. You can start to see why the Rams are always as successful as they've been, that dude is into it all the time, and I absolutely loved it. That was great to see. You're right. Davante Adams brings an element to this team that, never mind what Doug McCain or Travis Rogers or anybody else thinks about this. Did you see the look on Matthew Stafford's face? Like that was one of those. I haven't had one of these in a while. I haven't had a guy that does this in a while. I haven't had a guy that can just flat out win one-on-one or one-on-two over and over and over again. And that little moment where he kind of looks to the side and looks at him and gets that big smile on his face with, it was incredibly exciting because Matthew Stafford's been around the block a million times. He knows it when he sees it. He knows what's up. He knows how to use that without even having had an opportunity to use it yet. And if you're a Rams fan and you saw that video, it'd be hard to be anything other than incredibly excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It did feel like that. I mean, I'm not comparing it to when Tom Brady got Randy Moss in 2007. He threw 15
No,
touchdowns and 23 to Randy Moss. But it did almost feel like, wow, like this is the kind of move that re-energizes a quarterback like Matthew Stafford that's done it all and won it all and played for such a long time. And I think for the Rams to recognize that opportunity after he was gone from the Jets to kind of just jump on that, it's not just, oh, we're bringing in a guy that can do a lot of things for this offense and pair him with an existing receiver that's one of the best in the league. It's, oh, what does this do for Matthew Stafford that we're trying to make sure he doesn't take $20 million more to go with the Raiders in this night. So all these pieces made so much sense this offseason, especially when you see that clip and just kind of touch on your point about Sean McVay and the intensity.
Whoa, dude.
I mean, this is a guy where you just can't teach that stuff. I mean, I think a lot of coaches, they know when they're on Hard Knocks. They know when they're on the YouTube clip. They know when they're on social. Sean McVay, I mean, I've never seen him where it doesn't feel like the guy makes you want, whether it's appearance on a podcast, someone else's podcast, between the horns, like everything, it just makes you want to run through a brick wall every time you see him talk and just kind of strap it up for the dude. And I think Davante Adams is excited. That the other big takeaway too is, hey, this is how you get the most out of Davante Adams. I mean, how could you not love to play for Sean McVay? And I think that this re-energizes Davante as well.
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm with you that I think one of the things that makes McVay as effective as he is, other than the fact that he's just knows football, in and out the way that, even by NFL standards, he seems like he's a cut above. But that intensity that you saw, the intensity, like you said, Doug, whether you see him on a podcast, whether you see him on a late night show, whether you see him on the set of an NFL thing, it's real, man. It's not a bit. Like you see some other guys that do some things that you're like, you roll your eyes like, dude, stop performing. Like, stop playing the character of football coach. And I'll use this guy as an example. And, he'll say something funny every once in a while, but you roll your eyes like, dude, what are you doing? Are you doing a stand-up routine? Are you trying to coach a football team? Like, you watch Rex Ryan and it feels like he's playing a character. It's like, this is not real. This is a guy that I don't trust. This is a guy that you watch that's playing a role because this is what a football coach is supposed to sound like, do like, and all this stuff. McVay is just actually that wired. He's just actually that intense and that engaged and that focused that it would be hard not to get, kind of caught up in the energy that he brings into the room. As far as Adams goes, I thought that there was something else in there too that I really, really liked. Now, this is one thing that could maybe cut the wrong way. I don't think it will, but it was one of those that kind of bubbled up in the back of my head. That dude is pretty cool, right? Like you watch when, they're giving him a little standing, the little applause and stuff. And he's just sitting there like, yeah, I know. Yeah, don't tell me I'm awesome. I know I'm awesome. I've been in this and I kind of dig the wide receiver diva vibes, and I don't mean that in any negative way. Just the way of, this is what I do. Did you not know that this is how I go about playing in this league? And I just love that the aura that was coming off of Davante at that moment, like, y'all might be impressed with this. Y'all might be excited about what I'm bringing, but this is just what I do every day, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust me, I mean, I'm all about that too. The cool factor was rating off that, I'm like, hey man, even the Rams logo and colors kind of like make some guys look cool. I'm like, no, Davante Adams is making that Rams logo and gear look cool, right? I mean, it's like there's something that's just about that too. I totally got that from that. And look, I mean, he said on your show a couple of weeks ago or months ago, kind of at this point, but just how it's going to be difficult in a test for teams to match up with him and Puka Nacua. And I loved when he was on your show mentioning that he did play with another young talented receiver in Garrett Wilson. And I think he's going to embrace playing with him. I think so much was made about Cooper Kupp being that mentor to Puka Nacua and barfing in the bushes and things like that. But hey, maybe Puka Nacua has kind of learned everything that he needs to learn from Cooper Kupp, and now it's time to learn from another elite receiver in Davante Adams, and I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, these guys have worked better in pairs, right? That great wide receivers are better when they have somebody with them that is a serious individual and a serious threat as well. go back to Jerry Rice and John Taylor or Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper. They usually come in pairs where you can't just focus in on one guy. Kupp and Nakua, I think, are a great example of that. I think Nakua and Adams could be a great example of that. Different, flavor of ice cream, to be sure, a different way of going about it. But I'm with you, D-Mac. I think that being around something different, being around somebody that's as dynamic as Adams has been and hopefully will continue to be is good for everybody. And like you said, it hasn't felt real since the announcement that they signed him, but seeing him in that room, and once we get into training camp here in a little while, I think we're going to kind of just ratchet it all up all over again, because he could be a real difference maker. And I know I've said this a million times. The everydayers will probably know what's coming. This is giving me so many vibes from their Super Bowl championship season. I can't even tell you. It feels so familiar, like some really serious veterans in that room. Like, dude, I don't know what you expect, but this is what I do. We're going to come in here and we're just going to roll up guys and get ready for it.
Absolutely. I will say, just for me personally, the biggest takeaway is now I finally feel comfortable calling him Tay. I feel like I can call him Tay now. Like, we're on nickname basis. I'm going to start doing it for the remainder of this show. This is the last segment I'll ever call him Davante for the rest of my time covering the team. It's Tay from here on out. So I'm comfortable with that. It didn't feel right at first. Now I'm all good with it. But coming up next, where do Puka Nakua and Davante Adams rank among the best wide receiver duos in the NFL? Some trade options, and also the Rams going to Hawaii. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with a Fire TV Stick 4K device. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25, to Call of Duty as easily as you stream your favorite shows. And you're thinking, hey, man, I already have a console. Well, fine. That's cool, because a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your games. Hey, listen, I'm a dad. I'm a parent. I got my kids, right? Maybe you take their games with you so you can have a little moment of peace and quiet every once in a while as well. And it's super easy to travel with. So head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, that's second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to give a shout out to those every listeners out there watching, listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. If you're not a part of that Everyday Listeners Club, now's the time to join. You just watch an episode Monday through Friday, listen to an episode, and then you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. All right, Travis. So before we get into more receiver talks and possible trades, the Rams are headed to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you guys have some light workouts at War Memorial Stadium in mid-June. Pretty cool stuff. I think my biggest takeaway is, I think Stan Kroenke is saying, hey, I want to get as far away from St. Louis as possible. Is another kind of example of that. But I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, no team's done this, and it shows it's going to be great for team bonding, I think. I mean, just kind of building the chemistry early for a new group.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's probably the greatest football benefit to it, is that, like anything else, when you go away and it's just your team and your teammates and the coaching staff, that everybody kind of comes together. You get to know each other a little bit better in an environment like that. So I think that's probably the best football outcome of all of this, is a little more cohesion and unity. This is obviously very, very good for business, right? This feels like this is a business play more than it is a football play, a chance to go and, for lack of a better way of putting it, plant your flag in a place that doesn't really have a team, a local team. I'm sure that, lots of football fans over there in Hawaii, but to have a team that goes over there and, you get a chance to put your eyes on Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Davante Adams and who knows, maybe Jalen Ramsey's there by then or whatever it may be, to see some real NFL stars in the flesh is a big deal. And this is how you create more fans. So from a business standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. And I hope they need a pre-half and post-game in their camp situation, because I'm nominating myself to go over there and do it.
Yeah, right. Doesn't being an NFL player just suck, right? I mean, oh man, it must be so terrible. And just go to Hawaii in the summer and train to be a Los Angeles Ram. It's pretty exciting. And like Honolulu in Hawaii is actually considered to be an open market. No team has like the designated rights there. The Rams, right. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get into the weeds on that one, but like the Rams, they have designated rights in a lot of places. I mean, Australia in 2026, they're supposed to be the home team. So you're pretty close. I mean, I think it's an opportunity for the Rams to kind of further establish their roots in a different market.
I know that, you, me, and the vast majority of people that listen to Locked On Rams or root for an NFL team or follow the NFL, we do it because we love football and we love football players and we love to watch football games. This is a business. Right? These guys, they don't do stuff just for fun. They don't do stuff just because, that might be interesting. This is done with a purpose. And like you said, the Rams have some international markets that are there, and they're just pushing that thing further and further west. It's fascinating. And look, Stan Kroenke knows what's up. He's made a lot of good business decisions, and this feels like one of them as well.
100%. So for sure, yeah, get me on that plane too. I'm super down to Locked On Rams episodes in Hawaii this summer. But getting back to Puka and Davante Adams, NFL.com released their top receiver duos heading into the 2025 season. And the duo of Puka Nacua and Davante Adams, Tay Adams, actually, as they call him now, comes in at 5. So you got Puka and Tay at 5. And ahead of them, I'm not really mad at this list. I think it's a pretty respectable placement considering they have not played in a game together. I think there's that as well. But 4 is A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith with the Eagles. 3 is Amon St. Brown and Jameson Williams coming in at 3rd. 2nd, you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. A lot of Trojans on this list. You got 1, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So, look, I think just being mentioned in that group, considering the fact that you got a 5th rounder and Puka Nacua has emerged as an NFL star, a veteran elite receiver that's done great things in this league like Tay Adams, and then you also got just a lack of experience. All those guys have experience. So I think by the end of this year, though, I'm curious to see where the Rams rank on this list, especially because Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback amongst those guys as far as being a pure thrower. They can get those guys the ball.
Yeah. I think, look, when we've talked about this before, there's no coincidence that some of the greatest wide receiving seasons in history, whether it's Calvin Johnson, Cooper Kupp, or Puka Nacua, they were all at the hands of Matthew Stafford. So I think that your point is a good one, that he could elevate that group from number 5 to who knows how high, because he's that special of a player. The other thing that, Doug, when I see this list and when I hear you read it off, it just kind of reinforces that the decision to move on from Cooper Kupp was the right one, because the Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua tandem would not have made this top 5. That the Cooper Kupp, Seattle Seahawks are not on this list. And I don't like the idea of pointing out that Cooper Kupp had diminished to the point where this was a fairly obvious move, but I think it speaks to the Rams' business acumen, like we were talking about a second ago, which is they want to win football games. They want to win Super Bowls. They want to keep this thing rolling, and they're not going to get too tied up into hey, this guy was a great player for us X amount of seasons ago. Let's not, let's just do it one more time and see how it works out. They made a tough decision. They went out and upgraded the spot, and I think this list reflects that.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I mean, that just shows you that to get the most out of Puka and to try to get the most out of this offense from the wide receivers, adding a guy like that and then letting Cooper Kupp kind of go to his next chapter with the Seahawks, it definitely looks like the right decision right now. Now, as far as some trades the Rams could make, we'll kind of probably do this on Monday as well. There's some blockbuster moves out there. We did a couple episodes about Jalen Ramsey this week, and the discussion really was about, hey, if the Dolphins are going to trade him, it's probably going to be in June because of the financial ramifications. Sean McVay has it feels like the Rams and McVay and Snead have been kind of very open about the fact that there is interest there. Is Ramsey the super elite cornerback that he was when he was with the Rams? Probably not, but would he still be an upgrade to this defense? I think there's no doubt about that. But where are you at right now on the Ramsey trade possibility?
Yeah, I think you just said it. It's not a matter of necessarily. I mean, you'd love to get the best player at his position. You'd love to have a guy that could come in and potentially be an all-pro. That would be fantastic, but that's rarely a realistic option. What is a realistic option is getting a guy that's better than what you have, that's getting a guy that can make your football team better. And somebody like Ramsey certainly fits those two criteria. He would instantly come in and be their best defensive back. Look, if somebody all of a sudden shows up and has a season that's better than Jalen Ramsey if Jalen Ramsey is currently the B+ version of himself, if there's somebody better than that, great. If we still get the Jalen Ramsey, B+ option and somebody better than that, that sounds good to me. Or you still get, your best defensive back all of a sudden has just walked in the door. I think it's a win-win. I think it's something that I don't want to say will likely get done, but I wouldn't be a little surprised if it does get done. I think that there's a real good possibility of it being done if they can work out the economics of it. And I'll say it again. I said it in the first segment. I'll say it. This is like the championship season all over again. Just blank what might happen next. We're going for it today. Let's take our shot. And Jalen Ramsey certainly fills that bill.
Exactly. And I'm with you. It doesn't feel like it's a lock because it's complicated for sure. Yeah. But it makes you wonder with the fact that they're so open about kind of showing their cards on this one. And they are interested. Is it almost makes me feel like, hey, are they doing that to kind of show other teams out there that have cornerbacks they might be interested in? Hey, we're interested in Ramsey. We want your guy, though, right? I mean, there could be a little leverage play there because I think the biggest takeaway for me for the draft, at least one of the top three, was that they did not address the cornerback position in this past draft. And when you don't address that in the draft, well, you got to address it via trade because the idea of, okay, you're going to get one on the scrap heap after cuts is unrealistic. I mean, we know they picked up Ahkello Witherspoon late. He's back. He's not going to be this elite top cornerback that they really need to solidify that position. So, I mean, there's other guys out there like a Greg Newsome from the Browns. I mean, names like that aren't the big brand names like Jalen Ramsey, but a guy like Greg Newsome for the Browns, he's only 25 years old. I mean, that's a name that you could go after. So that's kind of something that I'm just kind of thinking about is maybe, hey, they planted their flag around the league. We're trading for a cornerback. It's just a matter of who's that going to be.
Yeah, I think anybody that, that has followed Les Snead and the way that he operates knows that he's got his eyes and his ears open. He's willing to pounce when there's something that he likes. He's willing to spend capital when it's something that he likes, whether that's, draft picks or other play. They're not shy about making a big move. So if they're setting something up and using Jalen Ramsey as a part of, negotiating, great. Again, this is what I know we say this all the time. You and I both talk about the Dodgers a lot, and there are just some teams that you just trust that they're going to make a good decision. Not that the decision necessarily will always work out. Nobody bats 1,000 in this stuff, but that they're going to do something that makes sense. And I think that's probably where they are with Ramsey, whether that's him coming in, whether that's him they're using him as a potential, hey, we need this over here. And if not, we have an option over there. I think there's just a lot of good options on the table for the Rams, and Ramsey's near the top.
Ramsey's near the top, no doubt about it. But coming up next, we've got some iconic Rams that changed teams late in their career that still just doesn't look right in pictures, still feels weird. We're going to run those next. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
As a small business owner, your work does not end when the clock hits 5. You know that, right? Your business is always on your mind, which means that when it comes time to hire new people, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. And that's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your entire network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. You can post your job on LinkedIn's new and their new features can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's the pro tip, right? Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile pic to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder that 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high quality hires. It's not just about finding somebody, it's about finding the right somebody. LinkedIn Jobs can help you do that. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL, LOCKEDON NFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, here in our third segment, we're going to talk about some Rams, some iconic players in this organization's history that changed teams late in their careers, and just how it felt to see images of that player in their new uniform. And this is because the Seahawks, they just posted a video yesterday of Sam Darnold throwing to Cooper Kupp with the Seahawks gear. A little nightmare feel, kind of felt like it was a little AI generated or something. Like it just didn't feel right, didn't feel real. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of stopped hating the Seahawks just because like the Legion of Boom Seahawks was like, I just kind of hated them, but I stopped hating them. And then now I'm like, I kind of hate them again.
It's hard, but for me at least, and I understand what you're saying, there needs to be like a thread that runs through that keeps the hate going, right? But once the entire Legion of Boom has been gone, once Russell Wilson is gone, and Russell Wilson played with DK Metcalf and like all these other, like there needs to be, it feels like everybody that was a part of this, Pete Carroll is in Las Vegas right now, that entire group is like, I don't have any ill will towards Sam Darnold. I certainly don't have any ill will towards Cooper Kupp. It was just, now, if I'm being honest, they don't really scare me all that much either. Maybe I'll come back to eat those words at some point or another. I don't know, but it is weird. It felt like almost like a video game where you can trade your guys that you know to these different teams to build these weird teams. That's what it felt like seeing stuff like that. But that's guys towards the end of their career in the NFL, really in any sport. You know, Patrick Ewing was a Seattle Supersonic for a season. Weird stuff happens at the end of the line.
Exactly. Hakeem on the Raptors.
Yeah.
And just there's always these weird ones. Now, when it comes to the Rams, though, there's a good amount, though. I mean, you got Isaac Bruce on the 49ers. That just looks gross. I think that looks gross for me, too, because, like, I mean, for me, it's like the 49ers kind of growing up. They had those iconic receivers, obviously. You had Jerry Rice. I mean, you had Terrell Owens. You had J.J. Stokes from UCLA. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them out there for sure. But Isaac Bruce is a weird one. Torrey Holt on the Jags is a weird one. Eric Dickerson on the Colts is a weird one. But as far as Kurt Warner on the Giants, I mean, all the pictures I see of him is like him looking miserable on the sidelines in New York. Yeah. He did not look happy at all. But the weirdest one, the strangest one for sure, 100%, when you look at any of them, is Deacon Jones in Washington. That one just did not look right at all. I mean, I think obviously, like I didn't grow up in that era, but when you think of kind of like that toughness, the Rams, that kind of like who really exemplifies what it means to be an iconic Ram, it's him, and just see him in Washington, that just felt wrong, man.
Well, here's the good news, and you just rattled off some great examples. We talked about some of the NBA. Like it unfortunately it happens, but here's the good news. We forget. I Doug, hand to God, until you reminded me that Deacon Jones played for the Redskins, I had forgotten that Deacon Jones went and played in Washington. Like it just that Emmitt Smith played for the Cardinals, right? That Willie Mays goes back and plays for the Mets. It's just like you just kind of lose track of the end of the line. You know, a great example is, and he actually wasn't even that bad, was Michael Jordan in Washington with the Wizards. Like what? It's just very, very bizarre. And thankfully our memories work in mysterious ways. And we're like, yeah, I don't want to / need to recall any of that. So I'll just pretend it never happened. And hopefully that's what happens with Kupp in Seattle, that there isn't Cooper Kupp just beat us with a Seahawk on the side of his helmet, that we never have to live through something like that.
Yeah. And the most random one for me is Jerry Rice on the Broncos. Like,
Seattle too.
But the Rams have their own version too. Is Joe Namath on the Rams? I mean, that he felt like an imposter on the Rams. It felt like
move. I mean, I just he was so battered and broken by the time that he got to the Rams. It was like you said, it was like someone had gone into equipment rooms, stapled Namath to the back of a Rams jersey and threw him out there and said, "No, really, that's Joe Namath," because that was pretty ugly.
Yeah, that one's up there. Another one that's crazy for me, Randy Moss, Titans, 49ers. That's crazy.
Oh my God. Like, there you go. Oddly enough,
black that one out. Most people black that one out.
The Titans, I would have gotten the Niners. I think if you said list every team that Randy Moss played for, I think I would have gotten to San Francisco at some point. I have zero recollection of him in tennis. Literally zero.
No, I'm literally buying you a Randy Moss Titans jersey today on eBay.
Done.
I mean, we got to wear it for the show for at least a week. Yeah, for sure. Also, I want to throw an honorable mention to Orlando Pace on the Bears.
There you go.
I know. That was crazy, right?
Yeah.
I know. That's so wild. But that is Albert Pujols on the Dodgers is going to be one day.
Yeah, but that was funny because he was all fat and slow, and the Dodgers kind of loved him, and it was he wasn't there to do anything other than pinch hit twice a week.
Well, and he was the DH, right? He was the DH, the designated hugger.
That's right.
That's what he was for this team. But outside that, it's going to go down as one of the ranks, especially because he went back with the Cardinals too to get the 700.
Well, the part about Pujols with the Dodgers that was fun is he had a better 2 weeks with the Dodgers than he had 10 years with the Angels. So that was just lovely.
Absolutely, 100%. That's so Angels. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And you can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.